Hello, we're going to start our mini unit on biotechnology, what it is, give you a little bit of background information, and then you're going to spend the next couple of weeks diving into a topic on biotechnology that you're really interested in. So first off, kind of what is biotechnology and how long has it been around? So biotechnology is the use of living cells or organisms to produce materials that are useful to people. Now, biotechnology is not necessarily something that's new. It's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. As the technology has increased, we have come to more and more techniques that have allowed us to speed up some of these features. So, for example, we have traditional biotechnology, which is the use of living beings and selection of natural features in living beings. So, for example, if you have a dog, the breed of dog that you might have is actually made through selectively breeding for those components that you're interested in. So, that is a form of biotechnology or genetic engineering. We also have new innovative biotechnology, which uses a lot of modern tools to genetically engineer microorganisms, plants, and animal cells. So, as I was saying, biotechnology has been around for thousands and thousands of years, right? So, in 10,000 BC, we had domesticated crops. So, really taking a look at the things that we use to eat, we started breeding and selecting the seeds in with the plants that we felt that had the best traits in them to give us the biggest yield. So, in doing so, they were able to replant those seeds the next growing season and hopefully breed for that because remember, the seeds as part of gametes have the genetic material then would be able to produce and the offspring. Domesticating animals from 8,000 to 9,000 BC. We also have things like brewing beer and talking about forms of yeast and fermentation. Leavening bread came along in 4000 BC. And then, of course, we had a large big gap. We had more of the production of vaccines starting to happen as technology increased in the 1880s, and then our production of antibiotics in the 1940s. So in the 1980s, we really started to use genetically modified organisms to take a look at things like agriculture, industry, as well as technology of medical and health. So, do traditional biotechnology modify living beings? Yes, but they do it in a very different way, right? So, old biotechnology modifies living beings by selectively breeding plants and animals. So, on the contrary, modern technology, where we use direct modification of the DNA in modern biotechnology. So, old biotechnology uses selective traits. So we've done this, say, for example, in wild mustard. Wild mustard has been used to be genetically engineered or breeded out in the plants for many different types of vegetables that you see here. Same thing, like we said, or like we saw before, with dogs being domesticated from wolves. There's also a thing about irradiation. So, irradiated wheat is, remember, not a genetically modified organism. A lot of traditional biotechnology also used radiation or things like x rays before we started doing direct relationships, modifying DNA itself. You remember, you can modify DNA by exposing it to high levels of radiation or gamma rays. And because of that, then the DNA could potentially mutate. So a species of wheat is actually formed in this way. So to increase the rate of mutations of DNA, then they would expose it to radiation. And so that's how one of these varieties was actually formed. But it is not genetically modified organism because the radiation, even though it's being exposed to it, is a natural occurrence. So, for example, we want to do this for several different reasons. We want to do these things by mating or naturally recombination of DNA. And you might want to do this, say, for example, for resistance against insects to achieve incorporating into food plants so that they have this toxin like BT corn. You might have heard of something like that. A lot of companies sell it, like Monsanto. So this BT corn has a bacteria in it that produces a gene to produce a toxin from this bacteria that the insects don't like and that they won't eat the plant. So genetically modified organisms can help in terms of global food production as well. There's many different applications to biotechnology. These are the ones that you're going to have to choose to pick from. So, for example, we have medical biotechnology where we can use things like diagnosis of genetic diseases, gene therapy, and vaccines. Agriculture biotechnology, things like plant agriculture, farms, food processing, um, environmental technology, cleaning up through bioremediation, which would happen during oil spills, preventing environmental problems. Industrial biotechnology would be things like engineering new productions of new materials, for example, some new types of plastics made from bacteria. Forensics biotechnology is where you really get into things like paternity testing, scientific investigations, crime scene analysis, that type of thing. So, what I would like for you to do as soon as you finish watching this is pick one of these things and put it into the question box on your Google Classroom to let me know if you are interested in medical biotechnology, agricultural biotechnology, environmental biotechnology, forensics, or industrial. And that is what you'll be working on for the next 2 weeks. After you finish that, watch the next information about the genetic transmutation so you understand how this starts to work for all of these topics.